Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Four Persons. I am very honored today to have a guest from a website that I have long admired, Steve Cunningham from Sensus Fidelium. Steve, how you doing this morning?
I'm well. Good morning. How you doing, sir?
Doing good. Your sound's a little bit low. Maybe it's on my end. Go ahead, say something.
Testing.
Yeah, it's still a little bit low. All right, we'll just have to make it through. So let's. What motivated you to start this website? That's just and we got it here on the screen. Just a great website. Lots of
Well, the website
videos
came.
and lots of content.
I was trying to put a Roku thing on, and a friend of mine worked at Google at the time, and he literally texted me up saying, "Hey, I'm going to buy you a website." And at this time, I'm doing Uber, and I couldn't barely afford Subway, and the guys was like, "Okay, what do you want me to do with a website? I mean, I got a YouTube channel. What do I do with a website?" And from then on, I just started, whatever I could find, I put up. I mean, there's now 11,000 links, I think, Spanish, English, the entire Bible's on there with commentary in both languages. Dom Garanger is on the website with 4 languages: French, Italian, Spanish, English. I think Butler's as well. So there's a ton of links. When I get an idea, I go a little overboard with a lot. So
it's fantastic what you've done, and I noticed in your material, Steve, that you're not afraid to make waves, and I love that about you. Because in our faith, I've seen in the political realm, you've got people off to one extreme, people off to another extreme, and they tend to bring their political ideology into their faith ideology. And we're not called to do that. We're called to, if a particular politician or party is in step with us, then we're to agree with them. But if they're not in step with us, we're not to agree with them. And I can see that your fidelity, your first fidelity, is to your faith, is to your church, and you're not afraid to make waves if you disagree with if our faith position disagrees with the political norms. Have you found that you run into a lot of resistance on that? We get a lot of personal attacks from people as a result of that. Have you noticed the same thing?
Well, it's just if you question the 3x5 cars, Dr. Thomas Woods has that line at the beginning of his shows. You go against the allowable opinion. I go off the 3x5 car transcript that they give you. Yeah, people will get a little irate a little bit. It's pushback, especially when they're profiting themselves or going up the totem pole in a sense. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. No matter what it is. And people love politics more than they love the church. And it's easier to convert somebody, change their mind on matters of the faith and sometimes than politics. People get their heels dug in the sand and they refuse to listen to anything else. It's this way. The Fox tells me what to use, or CNN tells me what to think. I'm just going to think. There's that book, Turn Off Your Mind, in a sense. And that idea is, whatever I'm told, I'm just going to go with it. I'm not going to look it up, not going to question. So I like listening to secular podcasts and media news on this. I rarely, if ever, listen to anything Catholic podcast wise, especially politics wise. But one of them I like is Last American Vagabond. He has this line of question everything. Now he's not perfect on everything. Him and I would disagree that the Bill of Rights is from here to the ice world of Hoth, as my friend Mike Church would say, and back and around the Stargate and around back. It's instead of this, he's an incorporationista. Christian is. So I mean, so I would disagree with a lot of that because he's one of those, the freedom of speech is universal. It's, there's no limits on it. Gun rights, no limits. No, there's the Bill of Rights. Is the Congress shall not. And it's hard to get back in the original intent on things. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of study, a lot of it depends on if you're really willing to open your mind and question your original positions, which again most aren't, and maybe they got maybe they got 500,000 extra followers or 700,000 or a million more just because they like a certain guy who's in charge, and that guy is going to help profit them, and that really keeps you from calling out the truth. And it's a dangerous position. It's not freedom. You're pretty much a slave to the guy in charge now. And I look at it as, sure, not making anything near the guy with those like DC Drano and Insurrection Barbie and all those other guys. And I don't have the reach those guys have, Jack or anything like that. But I'm free to say the right things. They're not, because they know if they say the right things, they say what should be said, they won't have that position anymore. And it's not human respect. They would rather be popular and be in the spotlight than standing for any kind of principle or anything like that.
Yeah, no, amen. And Trump is the most polarizing figure, certainly of my lifetime. I don't think I've ever seen a phenomenon like Donald Trump, where large swaths of the population are divided into absolute polarization. There's this large swath on the one side that is absolutely against Trump in every step of the way, and if Trump cured cancer tomorrow, they would be out marching in favor of cancer. And then there's this other extreme all the way on the other side that views Trump almost in a Messiah-like stance, that the man is here to save our nation and he is the only hope that we have. And I have news for them. Jesus Christ is the only hope that we have. And we're called as Catholics to say, to evaluate, our president and say, okay, he's the leader of the free world. We are to support him in that position. But we have to have the latitude to say that we support him on this position and we're against him on this position, because our first fidelity, and I love this, is in your name, the sense of the faithful. Our first faithfulness is to God. I want to talk about one video that I saw on your channel some time back, because this is an issue that I've gotten a lot of blowback on, and your site was very helpful to me. Around about 2020, I think it was, I had been struggling for years with this phenomenon of Medjugorje. And it's my fault because I never did the work to really dive into it and see what this is all about. It was always something that was in the background, and I heard some things come out of there that seemed positive, and I heard some things come out of there that I kind of scratched my head. And it was around that time that I decided to do a really deep dive and find out what is the truth about what is going on there. And in my research, I came across a video on your site by Father Shannon Collins. And I guess it's about 12 or 13 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just like a bullet point refutation. And because of that information, because of other sources, I came to the conclusion that this particular private revelation is very questionable. And I just want to throw that out as an example because the video was so well done. It was so concise, and you have a beauty and an apprehension of language on your site that you can get a message, get it put out efficiently, quickly, to the point, just 2x4 to the head. And I just really, I really want to applaud you for that. And how did it come about that you were able to get that video put together with Father Collins? Walk me through the process of how that worked.
Oh, well, not that big of the father. A lot of priests back then would record their sermons and send them to me. Actually, some still do to this day. So what he did, it was a sermon during a Sunday, and he would email afterwards. So here's a link, and I would just sit there. And back then, it probably took me a few hours to put it together, find the photos and things to go with it, and listen to it a couple times, get an idea how to put the slideshow part of it together, and get it uploaded. So it's really just one of those things. So a lot of priests will just tell me, I put this up. Okay. All right. So, like in 2020, I was what I have to look back what year it was exactly. Cause it could have been in between Uber drives. I would stop at McDonald's and use their Wi-Fi and put together in the back of the thing, grab a water and sit there and do that for an hour or two as a break before I drove more people, which it's kind of funny you brought up the Medju Biju thing, which I call it the Demon of Medju. I had a Corolla at the time, light blue, and I had a miraculous medal in the driver's, the little dip thing in the driver's door, and always, just wanted to just add protection, just type deal. And this particular day, I was going through an intersection, my last drive for the morning. I remember telling the lady, "You're my last one. I'm going to Subway after we grab a sandwich." And going through this intersection, and this lady decided to turn right into me, and I still hit me right here. Could see the car right there. Ground zero is where that metal was, really. If I'm lying, I'm dying. And a couple days later, they come by and say, "All right, come. We got there's stuff after they towed it. If you want to get your belongings that were in there, we found. They come on over to the shop and you can grab them." One of them was this little baggie of medals. And there were medals that I didn't have, and it was 5 Medjugorje medals. And I don't know where those things came from. And I just thought, wow, that was interesting how the Demon of Medju was in my car that day. Because I used to sweep that out. If you ever, no one has probably drove Uber like I did. You vacuum it out daily, make sure it's clean, make sure it smells good, keep it right so that people get in, they give you a good review, and you keep getting more rides, and maybe they give you a tip or something. I don't know, usually. So I would vacuum that thing out daily. I had a monthly membership where I would get it clean. I went through the drive-through, the washing every day, clean, vacuum, all that. Those were not there the day before. And so that happened sometime that morning, which was kind of funny. But and to bring back, just to piggyback what you said, which is kind of funny about the curing cancer with DJT, which, you got TDS, Trump derangement, and Trump deification syndrome. And notice day one, he comes out with a cancer curing vaccine idea, which started with Obama. They gave to Brandon, and Brandon wanted $100 billion for it. And then Trump comes out and wants $500 billion for it to cure cancer, which I don't know if, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching, you cannot cure cancer with a vaccine. And it's that mRNA tech that they're coming at, the technocracy, which none goes back to what you said at the beginning. 0.0%. If you go back to the I forgot the name of the movie, with Jim Belushi in it. It's 0.0. 0.0% of the cheerleaders out there have said a thing about day one, day two, whatever you're scoring at home. It was the first full day after he got scored in. The Operation Warp Speed 2.0 was launched with the cancer vaccine that they said will be programmed in your body. And nobody seems to give what's about that, which is utterly terrifying, because that was the first day of the technocracy thing coming out, and it has not stopped outside. If you're paying attention to people outside the guys that are allowed to say anything, you dig deep, you'll find more stuff. But the approved lackeys, you would say, they're not going to say anything about it.
Yeah. Wow, you're touching on so many things. You're just pushing so many buttons here. I love how you openly talk about the demon of Medjugorje, because I do believe as Monsignor Andrea Gemma said that it is an absolutely diabolical event. So I'm totally on board with you, but that's just the start of what we see going on in the world, and there's a lot to be, a lot to be scared of about things that are moving in the world and the way things are going on the foreign policy stage. With respect to China.
I got a friend of mine at the gym. He's a former Canadian. Just he lives up the road in North Carolina, up in my area now. But he comes up to me every time I see his motorcycle. I go, okay, well, I'm going to be here for an extra 30 minutes because he likes talking, and he knows that I have this kind of information. He tries looking it up too, but he knows he gets more. And he came up to me about a month ago and says, dude, I talk to these other guys. They're so-called Christians. He's a Christian hater, and I wear Catholic garb in the gym. My stuff that I make on the website, and so he doesn't really pay attention so much. I go up to my friends, and they're terrified. They don't even want to have kids. They're scared for their kids. And I would tell him, so, dude, I got this guy at the gym. He's got 4 kids. And he laughs and jokes and all the time, and he has that great all the time. And he looked at me and goes, how? By the way, how are you like that? I go, well, Catholic, man. I can tell you all this stuff that's going down, but at the end of the day, we're Catholic. We got hope. This isn't our home. They could go, as long as you're in a state of grace, they can nuke us. Okay, fine. I actually got a lot of heat for that. Saying, go ahead, bring the nukes. You walk out of confessional or after you're in a state of grace after communion, go ahead and drop it. You're not going to hurt it. You're not going to feel it. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on. Again, not being told a lot of things like during the State of the Union address. Everybody was focused on the political theater going on there, the reality TV show, which doesn't matter who your elected monarch is, Brandon, Obama, the haters tune in and the lovers tune in. The lovers come in to cheer, and the haters, they love to hate. And so it doesn't matter, Trump, Obama, Brandon, it's all the same. It's this reality. It's another reality TV show. Used to not be that way. It used to be, the letter would send in Jefferson and
yours. All I can say is amen, amen, amen. Everything that you're saying it's political theater. It's designed for entertainment value and for public consumption. Yeah. But the spiritual nutritional value of it is just not there.
Zero.
Okay? It's not.
And at the same time that's going on, they're having this gigantic meeting in Cairo about what to do with Israel. And no one's focused on that. It was, how many nations were there? 30. And their only option is really, well, we got to go to war with Israel. And that means going to war with these United States of America. But you have to literally type up Cairo. If you want to look on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, you're not going to see even the cheerleaders not even talking about. They're just going to go brown nose what happened at the rally, which is funny because everyone probably saw the Democrats thing when they had the same speech, and it was all in their little thing like back in Rona days when they had all the media guys saying the exact same line. The other team does the same thing. Doesn't matter what side you are, the same team. You've seen it now with Amy Coney Barrett. They're all saying the exact same thing, sharing the exact same language, lingo, photos, all that. But it's okay when the right team does it.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up Israel because, boy, Israel, that's another polarizing entity in the faith community. On the one hand, you have the element of the populace, the element of the political body that's absolutely vitriolly against Israel. Then, on the other hand, you have your extremists. You have the people of the Zionist bent, of the dispensationalist bent, that put everything that Israel does and everything the government of Israel does in some kind of an eschatological context that this is ordained by God for them to do this. And so on the one hand, you can't say anything good about Israel if you're in this one group, and on the other hand, you can't criticize Israel if you're in this other group. And this is just another example where, as Catholics, we're called to be clear-eyed and call balls and strikes, right?
You would think ethnic cleansing would not be approved by Catholics. Just a Holocaust going on. You would think that you would bring your faith above whichever elected monarch is in charge. But no, apparently ethnic cleansing is either applauded nowadays because, one side, politics is Trump's humanity. It says that, no pun intended on that, but yeah, most favored nation, the terrorist organization known as Israel, whatever you want to call it. Yes, the Zionist administration, which is the only thing you can call it. Every person that has been elected, appointed, whatever, is a rabid Zionist. I saw one guy posted on Twitter about Marco Rubio, who DJT and him used to hate each other. Now they're BFFs. About him having his ashes on his head. Dude, he's still a Zionist. That's great. He's Catholic. He also wants to. He also wants to bring us into World War III with the rest of the world just to defend Israel. The last three guys for, the guy that just came up for the IRS, not IRS, the FBI, Zionist. The Doug Bongino, Zionist. Matt Gates, rabid Zionist. He's supposed to, he's a Catholic guy. Great. He's a doggone Zionist hack. Yeah. Trump is paid for by the Zionists. That's the whole thing about ethnic cleansing. I mean, before he got $100 billion from that one lady, I forget her name right now. I have it on if you go to News from the Pew, which I do a news show once a week, called News from the Pew with Rick Barrett. Sometimes for Wise and Jonathan will jump in. I go into it. I was like, I got to put this all together. 50-minute video about all the stuff you're not getting told about why Trump wants to turn Gaza into Las Vegas Junior. And it goes back to this one lady said, hey, I'll give you the money. She was there inauguration day. And she gave $100 billion.
I hate to interrupt you, but I got to amplify the point that you just made there, because I got so much blowback for that. When I said, okay, he wants to turn, Gaza into some modern day Rio de Janeiro. Okay. That's the craziest. It's the most absurd, crazy idea I've ever heard of. And the immediate response is that, you must be a Kamala Harris supporter.
What? I get that all the time. It's the most ignorant thing that anybody can say back is, if you didn't want this, you must have thought cackles would have been. And that goes back into my original thing was when people were I don't know if Trump's going to win. I was saying that you can go back in the shows from 6-7 months ago. Rick and I were, dude, Trump's winning this thing. Kamala cackles is just a body. Notice there was no group running against her after Brandon dropped out and she came in. It was just, all right, she was a body that hold the position. Trump was he was the one that was coming in, just like Obama. After 8 years of Obama, no, Hillary was not going in. Everyone was like, we got to. Hillary would have had riots of people if they would have gone in, because people were so mad after 8 years of Obama. You can't do that. So it's like the steam in a tea kettle. You let the steam out a little bit. You give them their guy, and the opposition, the anger, the people that are mad aren't as mad anymore. The train still keeps going forward. Might be a little bit slower. Nothing changes because Obama, they call him the drone bombing president. Well, DJT drone bombed more people than Obama did. He also was going after guns, Operation Warp Speed 2.0, all that stuff that Obama would imagine. Operation Warp Speed 2.0, the first one with Obama. People would have lost their minds. So you leave that as nothing changes. Patriot Act didn't go away. None of big government got bigger. Draining the swamp, freaking swamp got bigger. I mean, you can't imagine when you get the guy that wants to bomb the entire world as Brennan as your secretary of the SecDef. That didn't drain the swamp. That's putting more poison in it. And then Brandon comes in, which was probably planned out. You don't get elected. You don't get selected without help. The powers that be let you in. And then after 4 years of Obama, Brandon, where it's nutty beyond nutty, it's just like Clown Planet in a sense. Then you start getting, hey, we won. We got straws back. We got rid of guys played in girls sports. We got, by the way, we're losing this. We got technocracy coming. We got CBDC coming in. We got digital ID coming in. I like playing that video from 2019 where Trump comes out. We got the digital wall that will be implemented from the sky, air, sea, and ground. Like, That's not terrifying to anybody.
Yeah.
Show raise of hands. This isn't fair. And even we got the CBDC that comes out with the privatized Bitcoin when they're coming out. Nobody care. Oh, but we got plastic straws back. We're allowed to win. We're allowed to win these little things, but over here we're getting.
It is. I gotta say, Steve, it is astounding how much we're alike here, how much we're in simpatico here, with the things that you're saying and the things that I was saying and the blowback that I was getting, because just of the things that you raised, that okay, Trump is our Messiah. Trump is gonna save America. Wait a minute. He's talking about digital currency. He's talking about aren't all these things the things that the evangelicals have warned us about for decades and decades and decades? The beast and the Antichrist and the New World Order and everything like that. And this incoming administration is implementing some of these very things that they've been screaming the loudest about. And it just goes to show that when you have clear eyes, clear Catholic eyes, and you're not viewing it from this guy's on my team because he has a D next to his name, or he's on my team because he has an R next to his name, and the only letter that we're looking for is C, and those Catholic values, then you kind of see beyond the whole mirage, like you said, that a lot of these politicians are warring with each other for the benefit of the cameras, and then when the cameras are off, they're going out into Georgetown and drinking wine and having steak dinners together at our expense. It's all just a big, like I said, political theater.
Show business for ugly people.
What that?
Show business for ugly people.
Yeah.
You ever watched WWF back in the day when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Before they changed it to WWE.
That's what it is. It's basically, when
the cameras are on, they hate each other. They throw chairs at each other. They hit them, they stand toe to toe. They yell at each other. When the cameras are off, they're BFFs. They work out together. They hang out together, lunch together. You remember, I tell people, I remember telling a friend of mine a couple months ago about like the lock her up thing. Remember, we'll lock her up. That was the thing during the First Amendment.
Yeah.
And what happened during inauguration breakfast? Bill and Hillary are right there. It's still on YouTube. You typed in the Trump inauguration breakfast, and he actually says, "I want to, applaud my good friends Bill and Hillary Clinton standing right over there." Mm-hmm. You're going, wait a minute. 48 hours earlier, you were talking to lock her up. Now you're treating her for breakfast. It just shows that there's, as George Carlin says, one big party and you ain't in it.
Mm-hmm. But the other thing that you touched on, though, is that there are a lot of scary things, and in our Catholic faith, there's another extreme element within our Catholic faith, and those are the ones that go off the deep end with the private revelations and the end of the world conspiracies and the that are constantly living in fear, as you said. The Apostle Paul said, "Where death is your victory, where death is your sting," and it's like you said, basically, or like you implied a minute ago. If all of these things come to pass and we're annihilated tomorrow, big deal. We go to heaven. I mean, when your hope is in God and your hope is in the church, all of these things are fearful, but they shouldn't shake our faith. They shouldn't. It shouldn't be what we're focused on. What we should be focused on, especially in this season of Lent, is transforming ourselves, transforming our faith, the world around us, and let the world take care of itself, right?
Yeah, it's the think locally, act locally in the Catholic sense. I mean, It's Brian McClanahan. I think he's a Catholic dude. He's got his own channel, but he's been preaching that for years in politics, to think locally, act locally, and in religion, you can do the exact same thing. It's how you do that. You worry about you first, the inner side, your family, your neighborhood around you. I mean, people want to try to convert the world, they can't convert their neighbor. Or they want to go on mission. So your mission is right down the street, right outside your house. That's mission territory for you. Or we got to worry about what the Pope says 24/7, 365. When okay, why? I mean, just because you want to get mad, or even here there was a guy that got mad that we didn't put in. We're in North Carolina. He was upset that the group wasn't putting in what Shupage said the week prior. Going, dude, he's in Chicago. You know how far Chicago is from here. Why do you have to worry about that? It's the focus is on all these bad things and things that you cannot control outside of prayer, fasting, and things. So pray, hope, don't worry. People just treat it as a bumper sticker. They don't actually want to do it. Yeah, it's a great line that P.O. said. Hey, pray, hope, don't worry. You just say it. They repeat it back like it's just a mantra, but to actually do it, man, not really. We're just going to keep telling other people do it. But yeah, no, letting you focus, get in your cell like the Desert Fathers, and you didn't see the Desert Fathers out there, trying to. They were doing their thing to convert the humanity around them. That people would end up coming to them, or got on top of a pillar like a stylite. I mean, it's the stylites. Yeah, like, how many people think they're like, oh yeah, we're pretty big and bad now. Go build a tower and live on that for 40 years. On an 8-round platform to see how you do it. I guarantee you're back down in 24 hours, including myself. I'm not ready to do any of that. Now you read, read these guys that did actual penance to the point of, the holy fools. You talk about penance too. I mean, there's some great stories like that. But yeah, we want to focus on everything. Shotgun it. What's going on over there? You bring up China. Keep it. I like this stuff in the sense. I mean, I can. When I'm uploading, when things are recording, uploading, or whatever, I'm looking at news in between, or I can hear things going on, see what else is going. Hey, what's going on over here? And I keep up with that. And it doesn't take me all day. Or if I'm working out, I'm listening to a news podcast alternative, so I can hear what the regular things are going on and see what else is out there. But yeah, you don't have to have your focus on. You worry about yourself in a sense, and that's self. And I'm not talking about yourself as in, you got to, just like on the airplane, the mask come down. If you're trying to worry about putting it on each other, you're going to drop. You're not going to help out anybody else. But you get that first thing on first, then you can help everyone else in the cabin. You got to focus on yourself first. Get your your level ground. Get a good firm base, and you can help out your family. Then you help out your friends. Then you help out your neighbors. Things like that. But yeah, no, the focus is usually, we're in a connected age. We want to talk to everyone. What's going on over here? What does this bishop say? What does this pope say? How dare that bishop over in some place that I had never heard of said that? I can't believe it. Has zero effect on you whatsoever, except you're going to get mad about it. And then your internal peace is all gone instead of trying to, hey, maybe we'll pray for that. But now we're going to tweet about it. So it's Father here did a great one on speech the other day, and he talked about it. He goes, your cell phones will be your judge come judgment day, because you'll be able to go through all those tweets or text messages. I mean, what you said bad about someone else, or you lied about this, or did this, or you searched for this. And he goes, those cell phones you have not only are tracking devices, but they will be your condemnation in judgment day.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing that you bring up there, because there's a lot of people out there that are, if you're totally focused on your neighbor, and like we've had this one heckler that everything that he posts on his website is about me. It's a personal attack on me, and it angered me at first, but now it no longer angers me. I kind of feel sorry for him, that I'm the center of this person's universe, and there's nothing that I can say or do that's going to change this person's manic obsession with me. So at some point, you got to realize, okay, I've done everything I can. I'm living the best life I can. This person has a problem with himself. And at that point, you got to kind of shake the dust off your feet and move on, don't you?
Yeah, it's just like St. Paul. You drop a lot of hot coals on people's heads. You pray for them. just like Saint Stephen was Saint Paul, praying for Saul at the time, and change his heart. I mean, conversions happen, softened hearts happen. It's if you're into trad right or the traditional liturgy, the last this past Sunday, the epistle of Saint Paul was charity, and it's usually there's a litany of charity epistles that come in. I usually tell my trad friends that you didn't really listen today, did you? You like it, you like the language it was in, but you didn't really hear the message. It's that old, from White Man Can't Jump. You're listening, Jimmy, but you're not hearing Jimmy. So charity is, if you're not doing this, you're allowed. No matter if you can move mountains, you don't have charity, you're allowed gong. And you have to remind myself that all the time, because it's easy to be sarcastic, especially online. Blast stuff. I actually had somebody the other day do that. I mentioned, because I always like telling people when they say this country, I go, well, you do know these United States is not and never was a nation or country. Sometimes that just infuriates people with that. It's because it goes again. It's challenging your base. You're challenging something that you've been brought up for since you were a wee lad to put your hand over your heart, which used to be like this, by the way, and pledge allegiance, which was a socialist pledge. That Francis Bellamy wrote. He was a Baptist preacher that he denied the divinity of Christ and was a socialist, self-proclaimed socialist, him and his brother. But we have been, and the idea of the pledge was just to get children to swear to believe in this one nation, which is an Ingalls wet dream with this one nation idea that he brought in the 1850s with the 48ers coming over to the United States and getting into the Lincoln administration and in the military and all that to transform this into an empire where the Southerners were actually saying, we're fighting communists, socialists, and atheists. And the Northerners are going, we're trying to kill them all down there. Kind of like what you see all of that, these puritanical mindset of destroy this and make it in the image and likeness of us, which means ethnic cleansing, get rid of all these people, just like you're seeing today. But no one wants to think about it. It's challenging your base, and you're challenging your cement that you've been thought was true the entire time, and people fight back about that. It was like a guy called me names all the whole time. I was like, dude, are you 5? Come on. I was just telling you that this is not this. You're actually Southern too. You're supposed to learn this, which is, like University of Georgia plays during when they score a touchdown, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, which was written by a Unitarian who hated glory of the coming of the Lord as Sherman burning down the cities, which Sherman's first attacks were Catholic convents, prisons, because, quote, that's where the masses were. So literally a communist. There's actually evidence of him being a card holding member.
Yeah, amazing.
You challenge people like this, they never heard before. The first anger is, Augustine would say, the first emotion when truth is presented is anger. I mean, you can get it, but again, you got it. I need to pledge my allegiance. I need to sing the anthem. I need, my country 'tis of thee. All that. It's one nation. And if you challenge that, question it. You brought up Trump being the leader of the thing. If this was the original pre-1860, you wouldn't care who was running this. Was running, quote unquote, running. There wouldn't be anybody running. They weren't running anything. It would be running the post office, because before 1860, the only thing the federal government did was ship the mail. After 1860, they got into everything: your body, your health, what you eat, what you do, what you drive, what kind of house you build, what kind of this, everything. We're, in a sense, more of enslaved than any slave in the history of the world could ever imagine being. I mean, you got to work till May or April just to pay off your IRS. Your by the way, the first IRS thing was 1861. Ching. It goes back in the communist thing. It wasn't an amendment, but it was an act that Abraham put in. And again, take more of the money. Before 1860, 5% of your income maybe went to the feds. Afterwards, what do we have? 40, 45, 50% in some cases. I mean,
yeah.
But yeah,
it's amazing. This blind patriotism is not love of country. True love of country would be where you want to correct your country when your country has gone off the rails, and all of these things that are that you're talking about were never the intention of how this country was formed, or at least how that was given to us or framed to us.
It's nationalism. Yeah. It's 19th century nationalism, which was another covert word for communism.
Yeah.
Because I mean, your patria, your love of homeland. I'm in North Carolina. I grew up in South Carolina. I love South Carolina. You see that flag? I love it. If I see someone, you get proud. I call my country of South Carolina. Now I live in the country of North Carolina. When I lived in Colorado, I felt like I was in a foreign country because it was. If you're watching the Olympics, I would love to see the state flag of Carolina walking in the procession. That's love of homeland. Your nation is the same customs, language, events, things like that. They're all uniform. I don't have anything in common with someone in Oregon. Now, if you say like I have, maybe the faith. Well, I have the same thing with someone in France, Germany, Norway. I mean, if there's a Catholic in China, I have something in common with that. But that doesn't make us one nation. It doesn't. They got different customs. They got different. In the South, we have different customs. We like flowers. We have a different language. We have different ways of going about. We say hi to each other. Literally everything. You can't walk down the street without stopping for 15 minutes or a lot of time because you're going to say hi to your neighbor or something like that. Out west, you're not going to hear that. So I mean, it's a nationalism idea it's a false patriotism because you think of the centralized, bloated entity. They think this one thing from sea to shining sea is one country. Well, then call it Russia Junior, because it's USSR under that, because you got this one bloated thing, and if you have one size fits all, then you have a president that's an elected monarch, which the anti-federalists literally predicted that hey, if this keeps up, it'll be like that. And actually, 1789, pretty much the Constitution was pretty much dead at that time. It didn't take
an example of what you're talking about that I have discovered in my life. So I was born in 1964.
Okay.
And I was named after the president that was shot and killed the year before that. And I remember in my childhood that my family kind of spoon-fed this larger-than-life image of John Kennedy. And, you're a kid. You listen to your parents. You don't know, the difference. You don't have any frame of reference. But the entire country that I grew up knowing was an illusion. Anyone that believes that what we were told about the assassination of John Kennedy on face value is just not paying attention. Everything was a lie, and the stuff that's coming out right now shows that the conspiracy went deeper and was deeper and more pervasive and more sinister than any of us probably really even want to believe. The country that we thought we have, it's an illusion. It's run by people in high places with their own agendas, and the idea that it's government by the people, for the people, and of the people is just absurd. A few very powerful.
You can't quote Lincoln in that.
What's that?
You can't quote Lincoln in that lying scumbag. Because if he really believed that line, then he wouldn't have gone to war with people that wanted a government of the people, for the people, by the people.
Yeah.
Because the South wanted a government for the people, by the people. That guy was you want to talk about somebody that started this thing moving in the wrong direction? That's the cancer right there. And that his mindset. And then FDR and Wilson ended up doubling down on that. But yeah, you're right about JFK. And there's evidence that Israel took him out. And what happened before JFK? We killed the Catholic president of Vietnam. So there's a lot more to the story than what you're told to, and sometimes like the movie JFK doesn't show all that.
But that it was some bozo in a 6th floor window with a bolt action rifle. Yeah. Come on, you're insulting our intelligence.
But people believe. They want to believe what's TV. TV tells you what to think. It goes back even 9/11. You're going to tell me that 11, 9, 8 boxcars took over all these planes, and guy couldn't fly a Cessna plane. James Corbett has a great 4-minute clip on this. Did his awesome corkscrew turn and took out the one office where they were going to audit the pentagram, which was called the day before, or how much gold was taken out, or we got a perfectly placed passport that just landed in the hands of a walking by cop, like he was calling for a fair catch in football. No, even though there's explosions going on, this is not even singed. How'd that happen? Or it just, people will believe whatever the TV will tell them. Like, it goes back to Israel. Oh, Israel's doing this. Hamas is doing. Well, you're not going to learn to dig in to see what. Israel funded Hamas. Huh. You're not going to see that the Israeli military is going. Yeah, there's a lot of questions that what happened on October 7th. A lot of things that went down that usually would go down, but all this stuff happened that day. I mean, their version of 9/11, and there was exactly the things that went down on October 7th was the same things that we were hearing back in September 11th, back in 2001. So it's laziness. We want our information in means. We don't want to think. We don't want to research. We don't want to look it up. We just want to, hey, you tell me what to think. I'll go with that. We'll be happy. It's like the Matrix. You want the red pill or the blue pill? There's some people are, like you said, some people aren't ready. They just want to walk down the street, do their thing, staying at the water cooler and not think anything of it. It's just, don't challenge it.
What is your advice to people who want to withdraw from all of it, decompress from it, and go deeper into their faith this Lent? Give me a few pointers on how you would advise people to really make this the most meaningful, consequential Lent of their lives.
I got a series that Father David Abernathy did. He's on philicleoministries.com or .org. But he did St. John Climacus in a Lectio Divina. And if you don't know the Latter Divine Ascent, it was used to be mandatory by monks to read it for Lent. Philip Neri loved two books. One was the Conferences of John Cassian and the Latter Divine Ascent by John Climacus. And he called Rome his desert. He wanted to be a desert. He wanted to go into desert as a hermit. He called Rome his desert. He would act like that was his cell, and he would just stay there. Read climate, or listen to that playlist. Just go on the YouTube channel, and I actually have the book on the website. You got up. You look in spiritual reading. It's St. John Climacus is in there, but you listen to that podcast or that playlist, the Climacus, and if you're not that doesn't change the way you act, live, and think. I don't know. Nothing will then after that, but I would just start with there. Not one size fits all, but that's a really, really, really good one. It's not a spiritual classic just because someone says so. It is legit good. I would start with there, and then spider web outside that afterwards.
I'm sure you read a lot of Catholic books, a lot of Catholic classics, books from the saints. I'm just interested in what are some of your particular favorites. I know each of us have our particular favorites. What are some of yours?
Well, Climacus was definitely up there. I read that my first Lent when I reverted back in, and I read during Lent, not knowing that it was supposed to be a Lenten book anyways. That blew me. I used to read it during adoration, and I was like, holy cow, this was good. Obviously Francis de Sales, pretty much everything he's read. I know it's like asking you to name your favorite kid. Catholic controversies, not technically, it's more of apologetical. I love it because he just goes to punches him in the face a little bit. But literally anything Francis ever wrote. Alphonsus, obviously, I was a big Alphonsus fan. My mom's side of the family is from Naples, so him being a Naples bishop of Naples, or from Naples, I mean, that drew us to him a lot more. Plus, being a sports fan, he was one of those like he would quote the Hall of Famers in a sense. So if you ever read him, he quotes Saint said this thing. And so I always liked that. Like Dad always told us to read about the Hall of Famers. How did they get there? What did they do to work? And I used to have a book by Larry Bird biography in my book when I was in high school. And so it's the same thing. Now I just changed. I used to have photos of guys that played ball. Now I got photos of saints on the wall. Also, Alphonsus, obviously, the uniformity of God's will. I mean, he wrote 100 books, pamphlets, literally and I have a bunch of them on the site too, under spiritual reading. Francis Sales with Lantern Divine Ascent. I would do 3 authors I would go with. How about that?
Wow, that's I actually have read a lot of that. Francis de Sales is one of my go-tos as well. I will tell you the one book that particularly impacted me was Dark Night of the Soul by St. John of the Cross. Have you read that, and what was your impression of that?
You'll laugh. I actually haven't read it yet. It's actually in a box. We keep moving. One day, God willing, we'll get our own house. I haven't unboxed anything, and so we moved almost a year ago. Our lease could be up in 3 months, or we might renew. If we renew, maybe I'll unbox them because it's such a pain in the neck to unbox and box things up again. But I actually haven't read it. Now, I mean, he drew a lot from the Easterns and drew from the church fathers and the Desert Fathers, and the East loves them too. And I love reading the East. If you haven't read books by the Easterns, just because they're Eastern doesn't mean. I mean, Climacus is Eastern, but he's Catholic. Cassian went to the East and taught the Benedictines. That's the Benedictines used Cassian. He brought the East to the West. I read the Philokalia a lot too. You talk about, that really gets you. But no, I mean, obviously read John. I mean, that's great. The Dark Knight of Souls. The concept I use it a lot in my mind, but I have not read it. So,
well, I'll tell you what we're going to do here. We're going to make a little deal, if it's okay with you. When you get a chance to read it, and then I'll have you back on. I want to have your thoughts on it. What do you think?
Right.
That's a future date. Last thing I wanted to talk to you about is I made the decision in my life that I needed to make a connection with my faith. And this fall, I'm going on the trip of a lifetime. I'm going to be going to the Holy Land and then to Portugal, Spain, and France. I'll be visiting, all the sites of the Holy Land, Fatima, Lourdes. Have you ever been on a pilgrimage like that? And what impact does it have to have these places before your eyes that you've read about and known about and learned about, and that now you're actually there? Can you comment on that?
Never been to a pilgrimage, never been to any sites, never really traveled, don't have the money, the income to it. I promote a lot. People ask me to promote their pilgrimages all over. I've never received a dime from them and never been on any of the trips. But never been to any Catholic sites, anything. Now there's 15 minutes, 20 minutes north of me. There's the 4th oldest church in North Carolina. Is now the oldest that stands up, and I guess I consider that a pilgrimage site. I went there a couple of times. There was a mass there, but that's never been anywhere. Okay. I mean, I drove across the land to go to Colorado and stopped at places like the Jesuit Museum in St. Louis and hung out in St. Louis and went to, checked out, saw the cathedral and St. Joseph's, the old church there. And, in Colorado, went down to New Mexico to see the stairs. And then I did my own little version of, let me video all the ruins. If you didn't know about how big the Catholic faith is in New Mexico, I have a 4-hour video on all the ruins from one side of the state to the other. We went to the Pueblos, and that was cool. I guess I could consider that a pilgrimage. We went there for the stairs and ended up going to about 16 ruins of the Catholic history of New Mexico, videoing a lot of it, and did that it was a 3-day trip. We did that in a day and a half of travel with my pregnant wife at the time. God bless. I mean, we did not expect it, but we just go in, walk around. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. It just went right across the state.
Wow. Well, maybe I'll have an opportunity to share the experience with you then at some future date, because like I said, it's a personal connection that I wanted to make to these places.
That's cool.
Yeah, Steve, I really enjoyed our interview today. I'm really pleasantly surprised at how much we agree on and how clear your vision and your thinking is. That the world will be the world, but we need a lot of times to shut all that noise out and focus on what's really important and what's really true, because uh, they are giving us, for the benefit of the cameras, a version of what they want to believe is the truth, but a lot of it is just, it's just smoke and mirrors, and the real truth is that truth of our Catholic faith. That is the only thing that we can really cling to and know is true.
That's a great point you brought up about what the screen's trying to tell you. James Corbett did a thing on media. And you go on his corbettreport.com and see it. And he talked about how media, it's all in this one box that you're supposed to see. You're not seeing everything outside the box. You're seeing the cameras or whatever else going on. You're seeing what they want you to focus on. And that's all we're allowed to see. We're not allowed to see what's going on in other sides, or if there's cards or whatever else going on. And that's your reality. And it's like you said, that was a good point you brought up on that. Was, yeah, you're focused on that, but you can focus, step back and not only detach, but think that there's other things more important.
God bless. Steve, would you leave us with a closing prayer?
I had to do that. I knew this last guy did that too to caught me off guard. Sure. Arise, my Lord. Arise, O Lord, and let the enemies be scattered. Let them that hate you flee from before thy face. Glory be to the Father, and the Son, and Holy Spirit, now and always, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much for coming on again, and I hope to have you on in the future. I'm already subscribed to you. If you feel so inclined, subscribe to us. And thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Appreciate it, sir, and have a good one.
God bless.